Yo, what's up?
Yeah, what's up, man?
Joe Biden, he's the president-elect. He's going to be the 46th president of the United States. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, here's what I think.
Yo!
Alright. Ethan, I think it's about time we talked about this, alright? This
I agree.
episode, we're going to be talking about some things in this episode that it's just about time that we talked about these things. These are all things that nobody really talks about. These are some weird things that we've noticed in the natural world.
Over the past 2 months.
Couple months, yeah. But this video, when you're watching this, you're gonna be taken by shock. You're gonna listen to these things and be like, oh, like, wow, I've never thought about that. We're gonna make you think about things you've never thought about before, hadn't been for us. Your mind is gonna go places that
You're not going to be able to sleep after you see this.
I know,
for the first
your
time.
mind is
It's
gonna go
be-
places that like you're not gonna you didn't know it was possible for it to go there. When you actually start thinking about these things and questioning how weird everything is around you, this video it's gonna be weird. It's
It's going
gonna
to drive you bonkers.
It's gonna get a little existential.
A little
even.
heavy.
This video is gonna get heavy, so you've been warned. So I'll start off. Let's talk about Jake from State Farm. All right.
Like the new Jake? Like the fake Jake?
Jake from State Farm as a franchise. All right. So I did some research a couple months back when I was all riled up about this topic, and so Jake from State Farm was a commercial campaign from 2010, I think it was.
Yeah, it was very, very...
Commercial campaign,
Yeah.
very popular, very funny. You know, it was good. It was a good commercial. We liked it. You know, and
They had like a bunch of different versions down the line. Like they had like the people on the
Coneheads.
phone. The cone head.
Yeah.
That was always weird.
It was a big commercial thing, and it was funny because the guy Jake, can't think of his name, Jake Stone. So I think his last name is Stone. Some type of rock, maybe, I don't know. But the guy who played Jake his name was actually Jake, and he worked for State Farm. So he was a normal guy, and that's what's so cool. And he literally just khaki. That's all it is. And for the Super Bowl, 2020 Super Bowl.
2020.
Nostalgia, and 10 years after, 11 years I think it started in 2009. 11 years after the original campaign, guess what? Jake's back. But without an explanation, they used the same footage from the original commercial of the husband and the wife talking on the phone, which was good because, like, you know, I didn't understand the jokes as a kid, but like watching it, I'm like, oh, like that's actually pretty cool. And a lot of jokes, of course, went over my head when I was 4 years old. But it's a funny commercial. But all right, so here's the thing. Here's a play-by-play. So the husband and the phone are having their normal conversation, which they've been having since 2009, and it's the same footage. And when it finally cuts to see Jake,
He's getting fired up here.
it finally cuts and we see Jake. Who do we see? Well, I don't know. I don't know
What's
the guy's
his
name. I looked him up before dinner. I can't think of his name. See him, and he's Jake, and
The new Jake.
he says the line, and then he decides his moment in the spotlight isn't over yet. So he decides. He leans over to the next cubicle to his neighbor, his friendly neighbor, and State Farm, and he leans over. He's like, "Hey, did they ever ask what you're wearing?" And lo and behold, we see
The original Jake.
We see the original Jake as a cameo, I guess. I don't know. Do we need a cameo? Why not just have him in the? Why would they rebroadcast this commercial but with a different guy? There's no point. No one talks about it. No, and now there's a whole new campaign where he's like this special agent, and he's getting food like delivered to him, and they want to give him extra food because he's so freaking good, and this guy's whittling this thing of his face, and they're giving him extra meat at the deli because he's so freaking awesome. Like, who is this guy?
Jake from State Farm. I would like to formally extend my gratitude for the Russell rate on my insurance.
Do you mean surprisingly great rates from State Farm?
I don't believe in accepting help, but I'll make an exception.
Here's the deal, Russell. There's no special rate. These prices are for everyone.
With the oak and the eagle as witness. Consider us square. I made that from memory.
He's a professional actor. who's here to play Jake, and I don't know. Like no one talks about it, and people just choose to stop to not reference it. Like, why? Why does this happen? Why don't they just start a new campaign?
I don't know. I really don't.
You want the real deal? No, Jake. All right, fake Jake. It's fake Jake.
This is all you. Like you're like fired up about this. Like
there's no point to it. There's no point to it. And like the CEO of State Farm or whatever said, like, yeah, I think we need a new actor because this original Jake, he's not a professionally trained actor, and this guy is because the role for Jake is more demanding now. So why? He's not Jake. No, just make him someone different. Like, no, like who's Jake? Who is fake Jake? I forget his name. I forget his real name, the actor, but I don't get the commercials. I don't get it. Like, he's just the superhero going around and helping these people, and they all love him. No one talks about. No one talks about.
No one talks about this.
All right. I think that's all I have to say.
After your long rant, I'm going to start.
Jake. Yeah. All right.
Hanzo.
Yeah.
I think it's about time we talked about this.
Yeah. With that.
So there's a bunch of American sitcoms that nobody ever watches because they're all the same thing. They have the same formula.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the same thing, like a family or a group of friends trying to do something. A couple of best friends. The overuse of laugh tracks.
Oh God.
Like.
Yeah.
Like everybody notices it, but nobody talks about it.
They don't.
If you really like pay attention or like think about like what they're for, it really makes no sense. It's
how many times?
It's a producer telling you you're supposed to laugh.
I know.
This.
How many jokes that were followed by a laugh track have you actually laughed out loud like the people in that audience?
Barely any.
None.
Barely any.
No, it's a nasal exhale at most. Yeah, it's one of those. Maybe you'll get one where it's like, it's never, like, it's never what it is. Who are these people? Like, that's what I'm thinking. I heard that, like, laugh
They're
tracks.
all the same. They all sound the same. And nobody mentions it.
Also, another thing, nobody talks, this wasn't even on my list. In movies, whenever something happens, and there's, like, a crowd, like a gasp in the crowd, it's the same sound effect. They use the same sound bit. It's like the same thing. The same thing with, like a tape rewind. It goes in the same thing. It's like an iMovie thing.
Yeah.
And it's in every single movie. No one talks about it. And it's so annoying
Nobody talks about it.
Because it's so on the nose. I don't know why.
What really gets me mad, though, is, like, many shows on Nickelodeon, which I don't recommend and do not watch. Henry Danger, to be specific. There's a laugh track after every single line. What'd you do today? I went to the store. What'd you get at the store? Cheese. It's ridiculous. Like, it's so overused, and like it's not needed. Like, if the audience wants to laugh, they will laugh.
And it's a
don't
little,
tell them when to laugh.
It's a little hypnotic because sometimes in movies, like obviously movies don't have a laugh track. I'd like to see that movie with a laugh track. In movies and other TV shows and stuff, when there's something that like I find funny, I won't laugh at it because I'm like, wait, was that meant to be a joke? Like, because like usually jokes are set up a certain way.
Yeah.
And you're not sure if it's meant to be a joke. You're not sure if it's funny or not. That's what the media has done to us.
Like, nobody talks.
No one talks about that. I'm glad we did though.
Yeah.
I'm glad we did. Well, Ethan.
Yeah.
I think it's about time that we talked about ultraviolet lights.
Ultraviolet lights.
They're everywhere these days.
Please continue.
They're everywhere. Ultraviolet lights, all right? They're supposed to be this. It sounds very powerful. Ultraviolet. Whoa.
Ultraviolet.
And
Whoa.
everywhere. Laser tags. There's the Apple Watch.
Yeah.
There's a color to make like the text on it. Ultraviolet. Why? Why do we need ultraviolet?
It's a good point. Why?
I don't like ultraviolet. It's everywhere. I mean, I don't have a problem with ultraviolet. It's nobody talks about it, and it's everywhere. Also,
It
blue
is
lights.
everywhere.
Blue lights I don't like.
You don't like blue lights?
Have you ever seen like a Christmas tree in someone's yard where it's just blue lights, just blue? You can't look at it. You can't.
If it's a green tree with just blue lights, no. If it's a white tree with blue lights, then
yeah, that's nice. But
Yeah.
like, I saw a tree. It was like all blue. Maybe it was just like blue lights, like shaped like a tree, and like you can't look at it. You can't. Like it's too blurry. Like I guess like that's just how like the mind sees blue lights. And like nobody talked about why is it like that? You
Well,
know?
if it's on a Grease standard German Christmas tree,
oh,
like,
you're getting into
blue
science.
only, like blue looks the best when it's multicolored, not just alone. Like
Not
if
just
it's a
blue.
colored Christmas tree, like white, for example, like you could probably get away with that. Red, that doesn't work. It's not a good. That's not a good color distribution there. That's not a good color variation. Nobody talks about that.
No one talks about that. Seriously.
Yeah. Yo, Enzo,
Yeah.
I think it's about time we talked about this.
What's that?
So, you know the teens, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19?
I do.
Then why are 11 and 12 pronounced not one teen or two teen?
I don't know. I don't know.
Is it some historical thing?
11.
Like, 12 was a very
12.
particular number.
They
sound
don't-
very weird.
They don't even take their roots in any other number.
They don't.
11 doesn't sound like 1, even though 1's like the root of 11. And 12,
12
that's,
at
like,
best
that's a
is
two-base
like
number.
T and W, but like,
Yeah,
that's
but
not,
like-
it's nothing. It's nothing.
It's not even getting into Latin, you know? Like, everything comes from Latin, so...
But 12 is like a very particular number.
12.
It's probably like with some research, it's probably like, oh, 12 is like 1 to 12 instead of 1 to 10. But like, why would there just be like 2 more than just 10? Like, why would 12 be the number? Why
Seriously.
stop at 12, 2 after 10?
Every other set, 21, 31, 22, 32, you know?
It's
Yeah,
weird.
yeah, that's been on my mind for a while, but it's probably been on all your minds also, but guess what? Nobody talks about that.
Nobody talks about it.
Just because. Wow, that's actually really interesting.
Yeah.
Well, Ethan, I think it's about time that we've talked about the hollowed out handles on milk jugs. You know, a milk jug, right? And like the handle where you hold it, there's milk in there.
Yeah.
I don't really have a comment, but nobody talks about that. Nobody talks that's pretty cool, right?
And
That's
you think
pretty
like
cool.
you're like holding the handle, and I'm holding milk.
You're holding milk coated in plastic, right? But like the person who invented the gallon, James Gallon, the jug, the gallon of James Jug. He invented this.
Is
and
his name
he's
like
a-
James Jug or James Gallon?
James Jug, James Jug, James K. Jug. He invented this, and it didn't fit quite a gallon because like the handle was a solid handle, so it was a little less than a gallon. He's like, we got to make room somewhere. This isn't a true story, by the way, but probably. It's like we got to make room somewhere in this jug for more milk. So they hollow out the handle and put the milk in there. Genius. No one talks about.
No one talks
about
about
the hollowed out handles and milk jugs. You know, it's crazy. It's crazy. There's just like a hole of emptiness in this large jug.
But you get to hold the part of the milk in your bare hands.
That's so cool.
No one talks about that.
No, they don't.
Yo, Enzo,
Yeah,
I think it's about time we talked about this.
that's it.
So, bead mazes and abacuses.
What are bead mazes?
So bead mazes, you know those like toys at like the dentistry for like the 3-year-olds that are just like the weird wired mazes with like wooden like circles and squares that they like push around.
Yeah.
Like, what's the deal with those? Like, who thought it would be a good idea to just be like, hey,
Anything,
let's
yeah.
take this wire, turn it into a spiral, and before we close it, let's put like 3 cylinders on there, and like little kids can push it around.
Have you
Get it
ever
using
seen like
other
weird, wacky things in like a kid's playpen? Of just like things that rattle or things that spin and stuff. Like who thought about that?
Like why? An abacus is
Abacuses, oh my
they're-
god.
It's like a square or like rectangular frame
Little
with
bars.
like bars, and there's like little like wooden pieces that you push to either side. Like it's got to be used for like some sort of like math kind of thing.
I think that
But-
was like that's like that's an old school like calculator. I think by old school I mean like BC and stuff like that. But like that's what they used to do. But it's like a kid's toy. now.
Yeah, but like you never
people-
see them anywhere. Nobody ever uses them. It's
Nobody
like
ever
what's
talks
1 plus
about
2? 1, 2, 3. Like
seriously, like how do you even
No.
do like math on it? I'm sure that there's some type of method.
but like
Because like there's multiple bars and they usually are different colors.
yeah, usually like sometimes
Yeah,
like
and
on the
no-
emoji like
People
on-
just choose
it's just
to
like brown and
Yeah,
red. But
yeah.
like when you see them in real life, they're like purple and yellow and red
Eh,
and green.
wow. No one really talks about that.
They don't. Nobody does.
Let's see what I have next. Oh, there's a good one. I think it's about time that we talked about the fact that you can't spell letters. You can't letters. Phonetics, all right? Letters.
You can't-
The
you can't.
building blocks of phonetics are letters, and you can't spell them. Spell B for me, all right? Is it B-E? Is it B-E-E? The letter B. That's what I'm talking about.
Letter B.
We don't know. There's no
Try
spelling.
and spell an owl. A vowel. A vowel.
Oh, yeah, like O, A. It's like A, like
Like
A-Y.
A-Y. Like, E would just be E. Or would it be E-E?
E. I don't know.
What would I be? Would it be E-Y-E?
I know, like it's so bad. How about W? W's the only letter that has more than one syllable, and it's the only letter that has a word in it.
Yeah.
D-O-U-B-L-E. Thank God they invented those 6 letters before they invented W, because then they won't be able to say W.
Yeah. Like, you could say, oh, they did it in other languages, but, like, Spanish, which was, like, way before, like,
yeah.
English, double.
Double. Why is it like multiple words?
Like, I don't know.
No,
like,
it's not 2 U's.
I could only
Same as
imagine,
2
like,
V's.
what was it called in, like, Latin or Arabic or whatever, like...
I don't know.
they
Trace
were
it back to
created.
Latin, whatever. And here's another fun one. Don't get me started on this. H is the most right behind. Well, maybe in front of C is the most useless letter. H.
That's what I want to talk about. I
C?
think C is the most useless letter.
Seriously, it is.
Do you want to start or do you want me to start?
I'll start.
Okay.
No.
I'll
H.
start.
H. Spell it A-I-C-H. H. All right.
Oof. I don't
H.
like that.
Does not make a sound. Every letter makes a sound. Ah, ba, ka, or s, duh. Like, they all make a sound.
Eh.
H is accented air. That's what it is. It's filtering air in your mouth to make it more verbal. That's what H is. That's at the beginning of a word.
Not wrong.
At the beginning of a word, it's just there to make a nice little lean into the word. And at the end of the word, there's no purpose whatsoever. When have you seen an H at end of a word that could have just been taken off? All right?
There's like this one word. I've been reading Julius Caesar lately, and like
Okay.
you know that one word in modern English, Syrah. There's an H at the end of it, spelled S-I-R-R-A-H.
It doesn't have to be there, though.
Syrah. Syrah.
Words that start and end with H. I'll say the name Hannah. All right? If your name is Hannah, it's nothing against you. It's a nice name. I don't have a problem with the name Hannah.
I
It's
do.
useless. Phonetically, it's useless, all right? If your name is Hannah, I'm not insulting you.
I'm insulting you.
It's a good name, it's a pretty name, whatever. It's phonetically an atrocity, all right? So let's break this down. All right, so you go into the word with an H. Hannah. All right, so it's Anna, which is a name with 2 H's on either side. All right.
Hannah.
So the first H, if the name Anna is too tough for you and you want to take an ease into it with some accented air, then you start off with the H. Hannah. Okay. The H at the end there doesn't have to be there. It's simply there for the case of making it palindromic. That's the only reason it's there. The only reason that Hannah ends with an H is so that someone can say, hey, Hannah is the same spelled backwards as it is spelled forwards. Wow, how about that?
So is Anna. Props to anyone with the name Anna. That's a good name.
Or Hannah. Yeah.
No, I don't like Hannah.
You never see H-A-N-N-A. You never see A-N-N-A-H.
Anna.
That are Anna or Hannah, and they're 2 different names, and nobody talks about them because the letter H sucks, and there's no point to it. All right? Like,
Actually, make a pretty good point there. But
and before you talk about C, the other most useless letter, put C and H together, you get a totally different sound. You get ch, ch.
yeah,
Very useful.
very useful.
Many times in my life have I relied on ch. All right? Very, very helpful.
Yeah.
C, k, s, H, nothing. Nothing for me.
But
Put them
then
together.
But yeah,
I need a drink. I need
So,
some ice water.
he
Some
thinks
sparkling
that
ice.
H is the most useless letter, and that's the first time you've told me that. So that's like you make some pretty good points, but I'm going
With
to
the
make some
H, yeah.
points with C, which everybody's probably heard this, but it's 2 sounds, k and s, are K and S.
Mhm.
It has the 2 sounds of 2 letters, which are later in the alphabet. Why?
Yeah.
Why does it have 2 sounds? Like the same thing with I'm gonna go on a little tangent
Oh,
here
let's hear
with
that.
G. So G is
Oh,
go-
I was actually going to
J.
talk about G.
J. should just be J, and G should be G, not J.
Sometimes G gets confused because G and J sound so similar, just to make people feel stupid. And sometimes the sound of G gets confused in itself.
Mm-hmm. But back to C though. It's and there's no point to it at all. And it's a disappointment because it's the third letter in the alphabet. You'd think it'd have a very distinct, iconic sound. No, K and K and S.
Distinct and iconic. So funny.
But it should be ch. It should be C and H. It should be ch.
Yeah,
Like,
and then just take H out of the alphabet.
in Italian, like C before a vowel is ch. Like C to E is che. C to I is chi.
C is just ch. Yeah.
Yeah, C should just be ch. And then like we could just get rid of H, and then we could have a happy 25 letters of the alphabet. Wouldn't that be nice? 25
That would be very
letters
nice.
of the alphabet.
It'd be very nice.
Nobody talks about that.
That was good. That was
That was
really
very, very
good.
good.
All right, good job. That was good.
Do you want to go or do you want me to
Your
go?
turn.
'Cause-
Yeah, go ahead. I started
All
that
right.
one. So.
All right, so this is something that people do, and like,
Oh, interesting.
I don't know why they do it. I don't know what prompted people to do this, but they do
I
it,
think I know you.
and it's very confusing. Why do people turn down the volume of music in their car when they're trying to find a parking space? Do they think that having a better hearing, do they think that like turning down the volume of music is going to help them with their sight, trying to find a parking space in a plethora of like filled parking spaces with cars? Just
I know.
why would they do
We
that?
don't drive. None of us drive.
Yet.
Yeah, but
I've noticed people
so
do
I've
that.
never been the only one in a moving car. Neither have you. So maybe people just turn it down to talk to the other people in the car, like, I know, let's see where I'm gonna go here. But
like if they're alone in the car, like
if they're alone in the
still
car, I
do
wonder if they still do. They still do it. Like I
They do.
wonder.
Like people still do that. It's like, oh, wait,
Yeah. It's like,
why?
yeah, I know.
There's no purpose for that at all.
It's just something. It's just like some primal instinct. I think. I don't know.
Props to my dad. He blasts Dave Matthews music as loud as he can until he has to stop the car. He's not one of those weird people that just like turns it down to find a parking space. Ooh, gotta find a parking space. Like, are they afraid that like if they concentrate on finding a parking space, like
They're
they're
gonna
gonna-
be jamming out to the music.
they're
and
not going to
find-
jam out to
yeah,
the music
good
anymore?
parking
Like,
spot.
but then like, why don't they just turn it off? Why don't they only turn it down?
Just turn
Like,
it down.
it's just
I don't know.
it's so confusing.
It's weird when you actually think about it. I've never thought of that before. That's the purpose, I guess, of this video. But wow, yeah, that's very weird.
Nobody talks about
We
that.
just don't talk about that. All right, let's see. Well, Ethan, I think it's about time that we've talked about Wendy.
Wendy?
Yeah, Wendy.
Talk to me about Wendy.
As in the restaurant.
Wendy.
Who's this girl? Who's Wendy? Wendy.
She's the daughter of the guy.
She's the
who
daughter
created
of the guy. Yeah.
Restaurant.
So
The favorite daughter. That's what I've heard.
yeah, I know, like she was like an adopted kid and everything like that. It was just a very nice story, but like
It's very nice.
it's very nice.
I'll get into that later.
Very nice. I won't actually.
No, you won't.
But you never really hear about Wendy herself. You hear about Dave Thomas. You don't really hear about Wendy. Wendy's still alive, I think.
Is she?
I think so. I think Wendy, like, it was just like her birthday a couple months ago or something. Wendy, I think, is still alive.
How old is Wendy?
I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to do some research. But remember a couple years back there was a campaign, like a commercial. Well, they'll be talking a lot about commercials in this episode. No one talks about that. There was a commercial campaign where there was for Wendy's where there was like an actress with red hair and she was like Wendy. But she was like a normal person and everything. She liked Wendy's and she was like Wendy. She wasn't Wendy. That wasn't actual Wendy, but she played Wendy.
But like only for a while though. Like she hasn't like been in a Wendy's commercial in a while. Like the last time I remember.
Oh,
her
yeah,
being
yeah,
in
it was
a
a while
commercial,
ago.
It was like some kind of like salad with strawberries in it.
That's right. Yeah. I was thinking actually, but like we don't even really like talk about Wendy that much.
Nobody does.
No one really talks about her that much, which is pretty weird, you know?
Yeah. Yo, Enzo.
Yeah.
I think it's about time we talked about this.
Yeah, what's up?
So, I mean, why do at every single store that exists ever,
Uh-oh.
why is there always a stack of candy, chocolate, and mints at the cash register? Why?
Whoa! Whoa! Yeah, wow! Yeah, that's crazy.
Like, why is it like strictly for the purpose so people are like,
Let's get that. Yeah.
my breath stinks. Let me take those Tic Tacs that are never going to work, but I want Tic Tacs. Like, why?
Yeah.
Why are they there? It's so
They're
weird.
usually elsewhere in the store.
Yeah, like it's weird because
There's
like
plenty
in
of places that you can
in
get
like the
them.
dollar store, like there's an entire aisle of like candy and snacks.
Yeah.
But then
yeah.
like at the cash register, there's like, oh yeah, here's Hershey
Wow.
bars, Tic Tacs, Mentos, and
Some bubble gum.
Whatchamacallits.
There's bubble gum. There's random candy bar. Like I'm thinking of like CVS or something like that.
yeah,
CVS, Rite Aid, which are
Like the
basically the same thing, same exact
pharmacies
store.
and dollar stores. Like
Yeah.
those are like the two.
That's what it is. Yeah, and even like grocery stores. In the aisles, there's those things. There's candy bars. There's like Kinder Surprise eggs. Every single grocery store I've ever been,
Yeah.
there's Kinder Surprise eggs in the checkout aisle. There's magazines. You know, there's bubble gum. It's the same thing. Who decided that? And
Like,
why
why?
there?
Yeah, why there are
Wow.
all places? It's so strange.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, man.
Nobody talks about
Nobody
that.
talks about that ever. Never. Not now. Not then. Not ever. No. They just don't.
Wow. I never thought about that.